Together.
Allegiance to the flag, United States of America. Republic for which it stands, nation under God, with liberty and justice.
Thank you. Jamie, will you please call the roll?
Councilman Jeff Capel. Councilwoman Jill Cole.
Here.
Councilman Lee Zerwanka.
Here.
Councilman Brian Gath.
Here.
Vice Mayor Pramod Javeri.
Here.
Councilwoman Katie Schneider. Mayor Mark Cirkin.
Here.
5 present.
I'd like to make a motion to excuse Councilman Capel and Councilwoman Schneider.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do I have a motion to accept tonight's agenda?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting, January 26, 2023?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any communications to council, Jamie?
There are none tonight, Your Honor.
We have reports from outside agency, a blues presentation by Dean Lutton. David, do you want to make any comments ahead of time?
Yeah, just briefly reiterate everything. So the way the rezoning process works, this property is being rezoned as PUD and requires a concept and then a final approval. And so last fall we had the concept plan. There was a public hearing for that. It ultimately was recommended approval by council, or I should say granted approval by council. It went back to planning commission as a standard to get final approval on something, and then it comes to you for a vote. But there was I think because the size of the project, what have you, and there were some open-ended things. And so whereas this stage typically would not have a public hearing, and this is not a public hearing, as council knows, we said, hey, do you kind of want a refresher on the presentation before you make a final vote on that? So this will appear to be a public hearing, but it's not really a public hearing, but certainly anyone, at some time under not miscellaneous, but under, hearings from citizen want to comment on it, but it won't be the formal public hearing like we did before. It's just an opportunity for them to give you an update presentation before you do a final vote tonight. And with that,
I guess I will add that we've probably seen this project in its almost entirety, probably 6 or 7 times at open meetings in council over the last 22 months.
Hello, thank you for having us back. My name is Dean Lutton. I'm a principal and architect at ResTark Design Studio, the architects for the project. We're excited to finally be at the final development plan approval process, and are excited to show you how it's developed and been refined since the concept development plan, and hope for your approval of Planning Commission's recommendation for approval on the final development plan. What's been submitted for the final development plan is substantially the same as what you saw in the concept development plan. There's been some continued refinements over the process as we get further along in the design process. Most notably, based on your and Planning Commission's recommendations on the concept development plan process, was relocating the residential entry. Let me get to the right slide here. Previously on Cooper Road, where you see this little sign here, we had our residential entry for the project. There was concern that it would provide maybe congestion along Cooper Road if we had drop-offs, package delivery, things like that to occur there. So we're encouraged to move it to the service or the access drive that circumnavigates the property on the west-hand side. So we've moved that over to this is Blue Ash Road. The railroad track is directly behind us and to the left. Cooper Road is running from the left to the right to Kenwood, where the corner is. So our residential entry drop off is off of our service drive. So not backing up Cooper Road. It actually worked quite nicely because we had some service in this area previously and some service adjacent to our residential entry. We were able to consolidate that into a more centralized location, so it made the development more efficient from a operations standpoint as well. So that's the most notable plan refinement. The other things we've done is develop the landscaping around the whole site, and particularly where this service entrance is. We've really focused on screening that from Cooper as much as possible. We've also, if I go back to the original view here, we've also looked to improve and enhance the corner quasi public space. We have some public art that is still being refined, and I think that's part of the reason why Planning Commission wants to see this area again before we have a permit to build this outdoor space. They want to see what that art is and see how landscaping has been refined from that. So along the whole project, we've developed landscaping. And really the last thing we've done, I'm sorry, my mouse is a little stuck here. There we go. The last thing we've done is really started to refine the materials a bit more. To be honest, as we got into the development of the materials, the ground level is still primarily masonry, glass storefront. When we're on Kenwood Road, the masonry wraps around the whole building, so all four sides. There really isn't a backside to this project. Once we got above the Cooper Road elevation on the ground floor, if you look back to the concept development plan, it got a little monotonous. It was a lot of the same stuff going around, and it's a very large project. So we wanted to break that up. So we've kept the material types the same. So where there's masonry where it was architectural metal panel, it's still metal panel, but we varied the texture and the color and kind of the type of metal panel or type of masonry to help break up the facade and make it more people scale, more manageable along the streetscape and all the way around the project. So with that, let me jump over to. So this on the screen is a digital representation of the material board here that has actual materials attached to it. So at the top of the screen is kind of the typical Kenwood elevation, and we can go around the whole model if you want to see, but these materials do continue around the model. At the base of the model, there is, or at the base of the project, we have primarily two different types of stone, this buff colored stone, and then a dark gray black stone. And this is really for durability and just where people are going to possibly touch the building. We want it to be durable and not, metal panel, while very nice, it can get dented. So we want to keep that away from where people are going to touch it too much. As we then kind of frame this masonry on the front, we have this metal panel one and metal panel one metal panel one occurs up in above the first floor and framing the masonry on the ground floor. We have various configurations of metal panels. Most are vertically oriented. Some are kind of differing in, let's see if I can zoom in, differing in, you could see this kind of varying shades of blue. That's kind of the lower left color on the material board. Same metal panel, just to break up that facade. That MP3 that you see there is a wood look metal panel to add added level of texture to it. The MP5 is a metal panel that has a core 10 type texture to it to add that visual texture. And then we actually have some areas right here, this MP4, we have these highlighted areas, small in nature, generally around windows that are a vertical corrugated black metal panel to add a visual texture. It's again all up above street level, so it's not down on street level. And finally, the last texture we have is this MP9, which we have three different shades of standing seam metal panel that occur at both the residential entry as kind of a feature piece there, and then at the Central Park as well. So we're really trying to make it fun sophisticated and high quality materials around the project. And are happy to answer any questions about that. The development team's here too, so if there's any questions regarding civil or landscape or for the owner, we can answer those. But I think that's all I had. We hope you enjoy where it's gotten to, and we're excited to, the plan still, upon obviously approval, is to continue the documentation and hopefully break ground this year still. So we're ready to go. Thank you.
Thank you. Question.
I had a quick question. Hopefully it's a quick question. And if you can refresh my memory, what is the timing or the scheme of the schedule? Is it, is it going to be built in stages or kind of all at once? And also, how's the financing coming along?
So from a construction standpoint, we have one continuous construction schedule. So there'll be separate permit packages because there's separate areas that make sense to, that'll be able to be occupied sooner rather than later. We're actually, upon approval here, we're going to get back together with the contractor and development team and go into more detail as to how that permitting wants to work. But it's one continuous construction schedule. Currently, we're saying it's going to all happen within 24 months, which is aggressive, but I think, we want it done. We want it done quickly as well. We don't want it to last a long time, and we want it to be open and have everyone enjoy it. And the financing, well, let the ownership team talk about that. That's above my pay grade.
Hi, good seeing you all. Greg Lund, Circle Development. So from a financing perspective, as you can imagine, pretty complicated project. Lots of kind of back and forth as we design, rebudget, reforecast. We have received a pre-approval from a lender that we've done a lot of business with in the past, which will take up the lion's share of the financing that we would need. And as you know, we're working on a variety of different kind of packages. So, nothing sort of completely steadfast given the state that we're in, because it is a bit of a, you got to achieve certain steps and then you get to the next step.
Thank you.
I have a quick question on the metal panels. Durability, how well will they hold up over time as far as like fading and color resistance and such?
The manufacturers we're looking at now, obviously it all depends on supply chain issues and things like that. Hopefully we're mostly over that. We're looking at 30-year warranty, which is industry standard for the architectural metal panels. The reason why we're not pursuing, and I should point out, there is that you see there's fiber cement here. This is actually just the primed color. We have very limited fiber cement, and it occurs in the insets. So just on the insets where the balconies are. And the reason for that, again, it's where people are touching, residents are going to be there, and we don't want that to dent. So we have fiber cement in those areas, but the ownership, owning properties and maintaining them and holding them for a long time doesn't want to have to come out and paint this, every few years, every 10 years, every 20 years. So that is the main reason why they're paying more for a more substantial material, so that it has that long lasting color. So I believe it's a 30-year warranty on the metal panels that we're looking at right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have just one small question. What kind of window we are using here? What make of windows that you're using for the commercial, for the build, for the residential also?
I don't believe we've settled on a manufacturer yet. From a window type, you could see here that we're looking at various, whether it's single hung. So for example, these in this area would be single hung windows. In other locations like here, this is a corner piece that wraps. They're mostly fixed windows with a side casement opening. I'm not sure if we have any awning windows at this point. I know we're entertaining that at one point. So we haven't selected a window manufacturer yet. We would obviously competitively bid that to get the right window for the right price.
Thank you.
Mr. Letton, all the work that you've done is obviously very good. So my only question is about trees. The street trees are called out as Calmer tulip poplars. How will that fit with the other street trees that we've recently planted all along Blue Ash?
I'll let Gail Fraser answer.
Yeah.
Gail Fraser, landscape architect. So what I've seen on Kenwood is you have a mixture of pears, honey locust, oaks, and maples. I'm not sure what kind of maples. I intentionally, so you already had a mix.
Mhm.
Intentionally chose the columnar tulip poplar for several reasons. Kind of fits with the whole theme. As you notice, all the trees that I have there are upright trees. So I intentionally chose an upright tree that would fit in that space well, never grow into the building. A truck could go by because it's right there on the street and not, in the future, ever get hit. So it's not a maintenance problem. We like to also go as much as possible. I try to go to native trees. And a tulip poplar is a native tree. And the cool part of a tulip poplar as well is that it's a flowering tree too, but not a messy flowering tree. It also supports, there's lots of other reasons I can go into, but it supports the larvae stage of a swallowtail butterfly, and that it's a good tree.
Thank you.
Two things to the audience. I mean, we've seen this project so many times. These questions may seem like minutia, but we've kind of been through most of the other big issues. Two questions. I can't believe that Councilman Zarwanka brought up the metal panels, but there might be a building in this city where when they installed the metal panels in the building, I think they managed to dent every single one of them. So are there certain materials that are, or was that all installation?
From a denting, especially, so I think I've probably said it a few times, we've kept the metal panels up
Yeah.
above the
Yes.
ground floor. And even where we have it on the first floor, we come down and we terminate when we get to the ground with a masonry material to keep those panels off the ground. One of the most recent projects we did as a development team had the wood look metal panels, and from the street, it looks like wood. But when they're installing that, if they put the ladder up against it wrong, it will dent it. But that is really part of the installation and the construction management process. Obviously we don't want dented panels, so that contractor and subcontractor are responsible for when it's done. If they're dented, we're going to be marking all those spots for them to come back and fix. So yeah.
I kind of hoped as they installed it and realized they were denting it, that they might stop and say, we might want to figure out a different way to do this, but apparently not. The second, and this really isn't part of tonight, but one of the passionate issues with this project was the median on Cooper Road. And from a personal standpoint, I do think that I don't think it's anything part of the approval tonight, but I just want to kind of get people's feelings on. I do think that's detrimental to the crossings. The conclusion of the CT consultant study did mention it was recommended due to the potential benefits for traffic flow and safety. But with the crossings having the one really big opening on Kenwood, it's got Alma Avenue, which is, and it's also got Blue Ash Road. They're a bit obscure. Cooper's a really important access point, and although it shows up in your PowerPoint, I would hope that we would agree to not install that as the project goes forward. So I just kind of wanted to hear from council mates where they were with that.
I would concur. I think it's premature, since we really don't know what the traffic patterns are going to be till, 2, 4, 6 years out. We can always relook at it at that point in time.
And even if it wasn't a median, but a right in, right out designation, because that is, I'm in that center a lot. We have a bank and other things. We go there and it can be pretty hairy, getting in and out of there. But I think a median sounds like not a good idea. It's like you said, until we see if it's necessary down the road.
I'd like to avoid it if we can, and until we see that worst fears of our traffic engineers have come to light, I think we can put that off.
My opinion here, I think we should try to see what's going on, how the traffic is going to go over there. Let's not just put down by thinking that we will have a problem of taking left turn from Cooper. So by that point, I think we should lay off of the media and then go for another watch and see and watch and wait and see how it goes. And then we will proceed on that kind of stuff.
I did have one more question, and maybe we've talked about this, but Railroad Avenue is that's kind of a tough spot right there, with Blue Ash Road and then the entrance or exit to the building, and then, Railroad Avenue is right there. And Railroad Avenue, if we'd given any thought to closing that off, because it really, it provides access to a few homes and that one business on the corner, but it's only a short block long before you can cut over and cross. And we could potentially avoid some traffic issues at that. So I don't know if that was an idea that we decided was a bad idea.
I did not hear that it was a bad idea. Maybe it looks like David has a thought about it.
Yeah, I think I'm going to provide two answers. One for simplicity of understanding this project and approval. Those are all good questions, but when the agenda item comes up, you don't have to have that be part of the vote. You can decide that later. And then, just kind of affirmatively voice direction to engineers, hey, let's hold off on that. But yes, the closing of Railroad Avenue, I do know in a previous conversation, and again, I also want to stress, the developer isn't begging for the median strip either. They always want full access, right? But it's just our engineers kind of said, hey, if you want to potentially add, improve that a little bit. And so that's where their position was on that. But Railroad, I do recall being a discussion, and I think it was kind of like, is that something, a leap we want to make right now? And then there's some residents, not too many on that. It's a pretty,
Just a 4 or 5, I think.
yeah. And so, but it actually does add complication. It being there adds complication, I know, with thinking about adding red lights and what have you. So it's, the biggest complication is without a doubt is the railroad, not Railroad Avenue, it's the railroad. Get rid of the railroad, there's a lot of other things we can do, but while it's there, the problem is we don't have the ability to queue turns and everything else. So I hope that answers it, but I think for procedural sake, when that comes up, when this comes up for vote, just, we'll walk you through it, but you can vote that, and then under miscellaneous or at that time, kind of formally say, hey, let's hold off. And I clearly got a sense all of you are there. And if that's sufficient, we can leave it at that for now. And then we'll examine it a couple of years from now.
So did you say you wanted us to make a motion during miscellaneous?
I'm okay either way. I mean, it was pretty unanimous. So,
Don't we have 2 versions of the?
yeah, but neither one really addressed that in terms of the language within it. It just says, whatever solution is going to be resolved will be incorporated into the development plan. So you're giving me directions. I'm fine with that. It's just if someone wants to say, well, what was the matter of the record 2 years from now? And we'll make sure we at least put in the minutes that this was the decision. So.
Where my only question is, as we put that decision off down the road, is there a clear or sort of clear time when we'd say, oh, yeah, we need to have that there? Is it a accident rate? Is it and it's probably not going to be, oh, if this flips over from 10 to 11, now we definitely need it. But what are we going to use to judge whether we need a median in there? And maybe no one knows, but
Yeah, I think that's a great question. What triggers a reassessment of it? Unless you specify a specific date, that doesn't seem reasonable at this point because we're not even sure they'll get it constructed. I know they're optimistic, but things change, right? And then when it's up and running, it may take them a year to get it occupied. So I don't know what that is, other than to say, I suppose, we're comfortable from the public works standpoint and Gordon just monitoring it and knowing that there's a point sometime after it's been operating to reassess that. But you bring up a great point. How do we make sure that happens? And I don't know if there's a way to formalize that tonight.
Well, even if we did put a date, the next council could change their decision, or
well,
anyway.
and I don't know that it's a date, and I don't know if I'm trying to make my decision later easier to know what it is we're gonna base it on, you know, well, it feels like it really needs to be in there. Or doesn't.
I think it makes sense to base it on occupancy of the project.
Yeah, until it's occupied,
But
it can't
is
be a
that
problem
90%,
necessarily, but yeah.
95%, 100%? Don't know.
I
Question with no answer.
just wanted to, I'm going to highlight one more thing on your question. Is that it's going to take 2 more years, so it's a 25. By the time 25 is over, let the traffic engineer study the whole traffic and let them suggest us what we need to do and what we don't need to do. So putting date for us is irrelevant in this condition.
Yeah, I'm not asking for a date, so, good.
I think we just maybe, and just to make it comfortable for the businesses on the Blue and the crossings, I think I'd feel better if we did a motion at some point in miscellaneous business and just say, we're not building the median to start off with. End of story. Like I said, decision could be changed by a new council in 5 years if they choose to anyway.
Sure.
So, fair enough.
Yeah, you could even do that motion at the end of voting for this. You know, you don't have to wait till miscellaneous. So.
Okay.
Yeah,
Or you can do it now too. I don't, either way.
good idea.
I'll make a motion to,
No, let the
About the legal.
resolution come, but then
I'm
just
sorry.
He said we could do it now if we want to.
open up the
Counselor.
resolution right now. Okay,
Yeah, get it over with.
okay.
I'm a little open on the legal language here, though.
Just to defer installation of the median?
Yes, that's the general thought, yes. I don't know if we need any legal language upon that.
No, I think you're just expressing council's feeling about the median, which is to examine it later.
At a future date?
Yeah.
So did you move
My
that
mo,
then?
my motion is to defer it to a later date.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We don't need a roll. Any other questions before I let this poor man sit down? Seeing none, thank you so much.
Thank you.
The mayor's report for January of 2023 will be entered into the public record. Do I have a motion to accept the financial report for January of 2023?
So
move.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're moved to hearings from citizens. If you wish to speak, please approach the microphone and state your name and address. If you have any materials to pass out, please give them directly to the clerk of council, Jamie. Please keep your comments as brief as possible to allow others a chance to be heard. Hearings from citizens is for us to listen to you and your neighbors. It is very unlikely that we will make any remarks immediately after you speak. We need to have a chance to reflect on your comments. Sometimes during miscellaneous business, we do revisit an issue brought forward. The clerk of council will notify you when 3 minutes has passed, and at that point, please wrap up your presentation. Most importantly, let's treat each other with calm and respect.
Thank you. Mayor and members of council, excuse my voice. I just wanted to thank you all for deciding
Sir,
that the meeting.
could you start with
mic.
your name and
Oh,
address
sure.
and
I'm
talk
Hal
right into the
Silverman.
mic?
Hal Silverman. I'm the owner of the Crossings of Blue Ash and the Tower of Blue Ash. But I just very happy to hear your decision on the median. It's been a great concern for me. Since it was a different from the concept plan, it was not on there and it ended up on the final development plan. So again, just wanted to thank you very much. Our tenants would thank you as well. They all bargained for the full access onto Cooper Road. And it's actually an attachment to every lease that we have. It's part of the documentation of the lease. So we've had that access since 1987. And it's functioned very, very well. There'd be some real problems if people had to go back to Out Kenwood Road, turn left, make another left on Cooper to go west. It would also back up traffic going west on Cooper. That traffic would have to turn south on Kenwood Road. It would back up that traffic past. It's just trading. There's just issues there that would get traded. There's no, and it's for a half an hour a day. I mean, that's the only problem. Maybe it's not even a problem. So, the business vitality is great. The Crossings of Blue Ash is doing better than it's ever done. If you've been there at lunchtime or even dinner time. I mean, the shopping center is very busy at nighttime. Blue Ash Chili, a great tenant, of course. We've had long-term tenants. Servati's been there since the beginning. Benchmark and a couple different names has been there an awful long time. Started as Wilderness Trace and some other names. So the vitality of downtown Blue Ash, and quite frankly, you want that traffic to go slow through your downtown. You don't want to cut them off. You want to give them full access, let them get in and out, and let them do the shopping. That's what a downtown's about. You're not supposed to rush traffic through a downtown area. It's there so people can see what's there, have an opportunity to stop going to work or coming home from work. I think that's it. I just want to thank you again for your consideration and listening to me at the Planning Commission. I was there and listening to a private citizen conversation we had at the last council meeting. I do appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak?
Good evening, all. My name is Bob Wittenberg, 4616 Cooper Road. I'm glad that the council made a motion to give consideration to removing that berm.
Could you speak into the microphone
Okay.
a little bit better?
Sure. My concern, I live west on Cooper Road of the railroad tracks, about 7 houses. And the traffic is extremely bad now. I have to choose what time of day I leave so I can get out of the driveway. There are times I sit in my driveway 2 or 3 minutes to get out. And I had concerns with this project, which I think is great, but that berm, I had concerns of putting additional traffic west on Cooper Road, making it more difficult for me to get out of the house, out of my driveway. So I appreciate that. Has a traffic study been performed? Can someone tell me what the additional burden will be in the surrounding area? I mean, right now at rush hour, traffic backs up past my house. So, and traffic coming west, I can't get out sometimes. I just park the truck and get out. I'm done. So it used to be that our fine lawman would stop the traffic so I can get out. He just buzz on by now. They wave. So, but no, I appreciate removing the berm, but I still have concerns about the additional flow of traffic going to put on Cooper Road west of the tracks.
Thank you.
Okay.
I just tore all the IT apart. Sorry.
Yeah, we weren't prepared to have you do that, but you got your 3 minutes. Yeah, come on and make sure you're talking into the microphone. Name and address, please.
Name is Vikram.
Into the microphone.
Can you hear me?
It doesn't pick up very well.
Okay. The name is Vikram and I am in 11085 Sycamore Grove Lane. Thank you to Councilman Gath. He was there in our community meeting. We requested him to come. Super patient, answering all the queries and talking to us about what the city council is planning here. Very appreciative of the connects. And then he invited us to let my son speak to you about the project that he is doing. So I'll let him speak a little bit about the project.
Darth gets
Right
his own
in,
3
right
minutes,
into the
right?
mic. And loud.
here. So, hello, everyone.
Speak right into it.
Got to talk into it.
Hello, everyone. I'm
Excellent.
Siddharth Vikram. And just a little bit about me. I go to Sycamore High School and I'm a sophomore currently. I'm on my school's tennis team and I'm a part of Troop 674. We're one of the biggest troops in the nation. And I was recently elected to be the senior patrol leader of my troop. So I'm excited to start that in about a month. So I'd like to start talking about this project. It's called the African Library Project. And so a little bit about that. It's a nonprofit. It was started in 2005, and we strive to help kids in Africa with their education. So we build libraries in different countries in Africa, such as Malawi, Uganda, Kenya, and countries such as that. So we ship books. One library counts as about 1,000 books. And my school that I was assigned is the Maula Primary School in Malawi. So why is this even important? Why does it matter to build libraries in a country in Africa? Well, education is one of the biggest gifts that you can give someone because this is priceless. I mean, where would any of us be today without an education? We would be living in caves, picking away at rocks and drawing pictographs. So books are the main gateway to education. And we give books to these countries in Africa so that they can develop. And it's our duty to help these developing countries as an already developed country. So we help these kids in need, and it builds an overall sense of community. And in our day and age, that's what we need the most. So my approach, I've already contacted my school and some of my friends in my community, and I've contacted some libraries such as the Sharonville Library and the Sims Library in the Cincinnati and Hamilton County. I'm also contacting the Friends of the Library organization, and I believe that we need to send some quality books. So I'm also trying to buy some books so that they can actually gain some knowledge in addition to reading just normal books. I've also made some flyers, and I've made a GoFundMe online to gain support for this organization. So my request is to get some used books and get some funding. Just shipping 1,000 books costs $650 to ship all the way to Malawi. And so I'm requesting your sponsorship, and maybe any ideas are also appreciated, just so I can gain some support for this project. So thank you.
Thank you.
Siddharth, this is your Eagle Scout project?
No.
No,
this
it's
is-
not, just another project you're doing
Yeah.
along. And if I were to look for it on GoFundMe, what would I look for?
I can send you a link. I only printed one flyer today, but I
Okay, will you
can,
give it to Jamie? Yeah. She can get it copied and.
Perfect, thank you.
I have another question.
Yeah.
What kind of books you are looking for?
any books are appreciated to these kids. Just
Educational book, natural books, geographical books?
any book is appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Third has a flyer in which if you scan, people can volunteer to donate. I'll bring more copies of
And
that.
if Siddharth, if I were just sitting here and I had money in my pocket and I wanted to give it to you, that'd be okay too, right?
And yes.
Yes, excellent. So everyone should feel free to reach into their back pocket and pull out the largest bill that
Yes.
they have and
Any amount is
hand it to you.
appreciated.
and whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Just want to be clear.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
My name is Karthik. I'm at 4826 Laurel
Loud.
Avenue. So, oh,
Yeah.
okay. My name is Karthik. I'm at 4826 Laurel Avenue. I know this new project that's great. It looks amazing. We're all excited for it. But our concern is the traffic through Laurel Avenue. We already have the Starbucks and other businesses right across, right at the corner, and people pass through pretty fast. And there are always children playing there. And, you know, me being so close to the Starbucks, sometimes I don't even have space to put out the trash can on Sunday night. That's how many cars are parked there on the street. So we would really like for that issue to be addressed. Either block the road, make it one way, make it resident only parking, have some sort of a restriction that we get to use the street where we live on a little bit. So. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Good evening. My name is Gabrielle and I live at 4820 Laurel Avenue. I'm Carthag's next door neighbor. And I am also extremely excited about the new development, but very concerned about the light directing traffic down our street. I've recently expanded my family, and just the thought of cars speeding down our street and shooting out Monroe makes me a little nervous about my daughter playing in the area. My family has lived in the neighborhood for 2 decades, and we love the neighborhood. It's very walkable. But I'm just concerned about just the safety of it with the increase in traffic. I'd like to see speed bumps or something to slow it down. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Mike Frazee, 5325 Cooper Road. Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment regarding, I watched the last meeting on the video, and one of the residents concerned that the Blue Ash was becoming overdeveloped. I tend to agree. I think that the city needs to maintain a balance of economic development and natural preservation and uniqueness that is going to.
Could you use the mic a little more?
Yes.
Natural preservation and uniqueness along with economic development to make sure that people want to continue to live here. It just can't be nonstop development, or it's going to lose its character and uniqueness. And this has been brought up several times, and so far there's been no follow-up discussion on the council about perhaps, expanding the park system, adding a new park system, incorporating green spaces, or just unique type of offerings. One lady suggested adding a train station, something to add character to the city, because these mixed use developments are not that exciting. So I think we want to try to be a little bit creative here. And also, it's a little contentious, but I wanted to offer my support to Councilman Capel and some of the comments he made. I think it is important that these developers that come in, that probably should be reviewed by the council to make sure that what they're presenting is kind of practical, because it can cause false expectations for something that's not really ready to be presented to the public like that. And I think he was just trying to highlight the importance of the.
You're talking about the football stadium.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, because, people hear that, young people hear that and they get all excited about it. And in reality, it may not be practical. As obviously what they were trying to put in there just wasn't going to fit. So I do think that he was just trying to make sure that the transparency thing, that everybody was on board with this before it was presented to the public. So I just wanted to offer my support, that I know it was kind of an awkward meeting, and I appreciate him saying that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Andy Steckel, 4606 Cooper Road. I just want to say Blue Ash does a fantastic job with the amount of sidewalks that we have and access. My wife and I, we walk to Summit Park with our dog from Cooper Road quite a bit. We walk into Montgomery, all over Blue Ash. So really, really good job on the sidewalks. The only thing I will say is Brown Avenue, right behind where the kind of bike trail is behind the rec center to get to Cooper. There's no sidewalks there, and it's probably only the length of about a football field or so. but there's cars coming out of Ravenwood and out of Cooper constantly. And I see quite a few times where just in that stretch, there's probably 7 or 8 different people or couples walking in that area with no sidewalks. And it's just very concerning with the number of streets in that small area and traffic, especially in the evening. So just, I don't know if anything's possible there to add sidewalks, but other than that, I think you guys have done a great job with the city and the sidewalks and walkability. Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
4752 Alpine. Only 2 quick things. Number 1, I wanted to check the box, say that I actually spoke at city council. That's number 1. Number 2, maybe you guys are crazy to do this because it is very stressful. So a quick round of applause for you guys to do this. I just want to say that because it is stressful just sitting back there and listening to all of this. So good job. And thank you for doing your job. So
Thank you, Mr.
I
Boyd.
appreciate it.
Put
Thanks
your
for
name on the
noticing.
record. Say your name and get your name in the record.
Bao Nguyen at 4752 Alpine.
Perfect.
So thank you.
Don't sit down. No, no, stay. If you stay there, no one else can come up.
Mm-mm.
Scott Reese, 4239 St. Andrews. Just wanted to know, it's a great honor to give this company the development rights to that spot in Blue Ash. What are we getting back for it? Is there going to be green space, benches, fountains? How is it going to beautify that area in Blue Ash? Because with all that development comes a lot of garbage and traffic and exhaust, and so we need more trees. There's a lot to be accounted for the honor of them getting that. And I wanted to also say, why not a roundabout at Kenwood and Cooper Road?
I cannot take the heat on that.
Just,
Sorry.
just do it and be done with it, okay? We'll drive it and we'll be careful, we promise. And then,
Mr. Silverman to donate the land.
oh, okay, Mr. Silverman.
I think he's
I
gone.
took that.
He's gone.
He's done.
You know, and I just wanted to give a shout out to Mayor Mark Serkin for being named one of the top 500 most influential executives in
Okay,
Ohio.
your 3 minutes are up.
And we're honored to have you as the mayor of Blue Ash, and thank you
We're gonna give.
for your service. That's
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you all.
All right, I don't see anybody else, so we're going to move on to committee reports. Thank the Lord. Finance and Administration, Councilman Zerwanka, Chairperson.
Jamie, please read resolution number 2023-10 by title only.
Providing for amendments within the 2023 Annual Appropriation Resolution number 2022-64.
Move to adopt resolution number 2023-10.
Second.
Any discussion?
So this matches with the next resolution, and this is temporary financing as we make some long-term capital improvements over the next few years, helping us manage cash flow to see whether we want to bond this out, whether we want to pay cash for it, whatever. And the rates are such that we're probably going to be still making money on our cash instead of after paying this. So it's just a temporary kind of.
Yeah, you summed it up well. It's a strategic decision we made before similar to this. As you know, in addition, so for people in the audience, in a little bit, we will be awarding a bid for renovation of Town Square Park project in downtown. So I heard someone indicate green space, and what have you. It certainly will be a major $10 million renovation of downtown, and actually will increase the amount of green space on Town Square itself. So related to that $10 million project, we thought we would float a 1-year note. It's called bond anticipation note, because we also have a number of other projects. We certainly have the cash for that, but we paid off probably over $20 million in bonds the last few years. So it just makes sense, even though the interest rates have gone up, we still have the benefit of earning money on that. So we should be close to even. And then next year at this time, we can make a decision whether to renew for an additional year. Some communities can renew them multiple years, pay down. We can decide whether we want to roll other debt into it. You may see us in a few months suggest that we do some other reimbursement resolutions to throw some other projects on there. As you know, we have the golf maintenance building and some tower improvements, things like that. So it just helps even out cash. We're making a lot of investments over the next few years, and let that get smoothed out, figure out where we're at, and then either lock them into longer term notes or not, pay them off and move on.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Amy, please call the roll.
Councilman Gath,
Yes.
Councilwoman Cole,
Yes.
Councilman Zerwanka,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Javari,
Yes.
Mayor Cirkin,
Yes.
5 yeses.
Amy, please read resolution number 2023-11 by title only.
A resolution authorizing the sale and issuance of general obligation bond anticipation notes for the purpose of financing the acquisition, construction, and equipping of improvements known as the Town Square Renovation Project in a principal amount not to exceed $10 million.
Move to adopt resolution number 2023-11.
Second.
Any questions? I think that was just covered.
Just
actually.
covered.
Yeah.
Jamie, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Javari,
Yes.
Councilman Zerwanka,
Yes.
Councilwoman Cole,
Yes.
Councilman Gath,
Yes.
Mayor Cirkin,
Yes.
5 yeses.
Jamie, please read resolution number 2023-17 by title only.
Resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement for retail electricity with a competitive retail electric service provider through the Center for Local Government Electricity Consortium.
Move to adopt resolution number 2023-17.
Second.
Discussion.
This is late breaking, and so I just,
Kelly can.
Kelly just
Jump
summarize
right in
2
there.
sentences for us?
No, I can give you, I can give you lots of sentences.
This goes ahead and purchases our electricity through the consortium at a savings over what we could have had on our own. And this will allow you to go ahead and enact that, and you'll do that. quickly.
Amazing. I'll just add, it is a pre-approval. So electricity pricing is changing all the time. So this is authorizing the city manager when we have that final pricing, along with all the other governments that we're collaborating with, we can all sign off at the same time and get the greatest savings.
What's the timing on the closing of that package?
I think probably about 3 weeks out,
So the numbers you gave us were just, for example, today.
for example, today. And
Tomorrow will be different.
yeah, and the biggest reason I wanted to see those numbers quickly was to know if we would be doing better with the group, which I assumed we would, versus on our own. And there is a slight savings. We're a pretty big energy user on our own, but there is money to be saved by purchasing with 15 other governments.
Did I hear it right? When the price comes out, you have 1 day to agree?
You have hours.
Oh, gosh.
So if David's not around, we're in trouble.
It's like a commodity. I do want to add, I know Councilman Gath has been very passionate about solar and other things. And those projects that as we've built new projects, we've done an assessment on them, and they often didn't meet a reasonable rate of return over time. But as energy prices continue going up, we will continue looking at that, and that delta might start to get slower, and you may want to make that investment decision. We'll make you aware of that when that happens, and give you that option to think about that. But I know Councilman Gath's been very passionate about that. So I feel like if that isn't said, then we're missing something.
Well, and I want to thank Kelly, you also looked at the pricing for 100% renewable energy for us, and it's real pricing, but really that doesn't actually create any new solar panels, doesn't create any new wind energy. So it probably makes sense to invest that kind of money into our own generation capacity at some point, even if it's smaller projects. So
I agree.
Any other questions or concerns? Jamie, please call the roll.
Councilman Zerwanka,
Yes.
Councilman Gath,
yes.
Councilwoman Cole. Yes. Vice Mayor Javari,
Yes.
Mayor Cirkin.
Yes.
5 yeses.
All I have, Mayor.
Okay, we're gonna move to Parks and Rec Committee. Jill Cole, pinch hitting.
Thank you. Jamie, would you please read resolution number 2023-12 by title only?
Authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract for the Blue Ash Town Square renovation project for the unit prices as shown on the attached bid summary.
Move to adopt resolution 2023-12.
Second,
This is a very exciting thing that we've come to. It's been a long time in the works. We were lucky to have 3 different bids on this project. And I don't know, would David or Brian, do you want to add in anything about this?
Not specifically, we're just very excited to get the project rolling. Thanks, John.
And as you said, David, it's going to add a really nice amount of green space to the downtown area. I think the residents and businesses are really going to enjoy it. Any other questions or comments?
just a well done to staff for this process. This started in the middle of the pandemic, and I know that they did a lot of outreach during that time. They got hundreds of comments through an online process, and recognized that the park is going to be a mess for a year when we start this, and you will be complaining to us that we missed this or that, and I get it. But I feel really confident that when we get done, this park is not going to be a 10 times a year kind of a place, but something that really is activated many more days a year. And so it's well worth it.
Mr. Reese talked about the, green, what are we doing with the green space? And, Kenwood and Cooper on the northwest corner is going to be cleaned up and beautiful. And this is going to be a heck of a lot more green. So it's a really nice synergistic projects, both of them together. Downtown's going to look like $1 million or 25, 30, or more like 90, 100 million bucks, I should say.
Any other questions? Jamie, would you please call the roll?
Councilman Zerwanka,
Yes.
Councilman Gath,
Yes.
Councilwoman Cole.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Javari,
Yes.
Mayor Cirkin.
Yes.
5 yeses.
Thank you, Jamie. Next, would you please read resolution number 2023-13 by title only?
Authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract for the 2023 City of Blue Ash mowing services for the unit prices as shown on the attached bid summary.
Move to adopt resolution number 2023-13.
Second.
This is just something we've done for the last year or two where we are contracting out some of our mowing services throughout the city. And some of them we do on our own, such as Summit Park, Municipal Buildings, Sports Center, Recreation Center, and so forth. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
I just want to point out, this is $46,000 less than last year. And last year, I know we felt like we were really lucky to get anybody to bid on it. So I'm not sure what it is that you've done to get this out to more people, but I know we were kind of behind the ball last year because we just couldn't hire folks. So 25% savings over last year. Well done.
Yeah, definitely timing is everything, and a big thanks to Ryan Nolan for getting the bid out when he did. I think we had 4 bids this year. Last year we had 1. It was very close to April, and a result of competitive bidding for sure. And maybe a good sign that things are turning around.
Yeah. Can you get lifeguards?
No comment.
No, yeah. Did you? You're already.
Doing it?
Yeah, okay.
Any other questions? Jamie,
We're at a
please call
speed.
the roll.
Councilwoman Cole,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Javari,
Yes.
Councilman Zerwanka,
Yes.
Councilman Gath,
Yes.
Mayor Cirkin.
Yes.
5 yeses.
Wonderful. That's all I have on this, Mayor.
All right, we're going to move to Planning and Zoning Committee. Vice Mayor Javari, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mayor. Jimmy, can you read the resolution number 2023-14 by title only?
Approving a final development plan for a 6.2 acre planned unit development, The Blue, at the northwest corner of the intersection of Kenwood Road and Cooper Road in the downtown zoning district.
Move to adopt the resolution number 2023-14.
Second.
Any questions?
Which one?
Yeah, is it the amended or the amended, or are these, maybe it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Give us another
The
copy.
one of the amended is a red line version that shows the changes, and then the
Okay.
other one is a clear version.
Okay, thank you.
There are two red line versions.
Yeah, so there, the amended version was amended. Let me explain. So the red line that you found at your seat this evening, if you look at the last whereas clause, there's some additional redlining. So Councilman Gath and I had a conversation the other day about how are we really approving with the planning commission conditions, since we've changed a few, and I shouldn't really say changed, it's just they've been satisfied throughout the last several weeks. So we changed the wording in the last whereas to say planning commission approved with conditions, and we're affirming the following. That's the change.
So basically, between planning commission and tonight, some of the issues were taken care of and
Yes.
were off the docket. They were not part of it, not necessary anymore. Got it. Okay.
Any other question? Jamie?
I don't have a question, but this is a big moment. I think that this is a.
Drum roll, please.
Something. I mean, this is a once in a lifetime development in the heart of our city. It's going to go a long way to achieving the goals that council has set after hearing from citizens to make the city more alive after 5, bring in more restaurants and folks. I'm excited for it, and 24 months seems like an awfully long time. Go ahead and feel free to move that up. But now that we voted for it, next week would be fine. No, this is a great project, and with all things this big, there are things that if I were king of the world, I'd nip and tuck here and there. But I think it's been a great project, and council's been instrumental in putting out a vision for it, and developers did a great job of meeting that vision.
Talked about this for ever since I've been on council.
I got the dates.
Yeah, way back. And I can remember when Mr. Hosbrook used to sit right there. I wonder if we were going to do anything with that property. So yes, we've made a lot of progress.
Any other questions? Jamie?
I will add one thing. I know, heard a couple comments about traffic, particularly I think Lower Avenue, and I know Councilman Gatz, you've expressed making sure that we're on top of that. So, I just want to reiterate to council, there's been some preliminary assessment and traffic assessment on that. That'll be monitored over the next few years to see what the best practice is. It again would seem too premature to make a determination on that, but I don't want anyone to think that there's no sensitivity about that in that particular neighborhood. And like I said, I know Councilman Gath's been pretty passionate about that also.
Thanks for reminding me. I'm very passionate about that. The reason it's on my mind is because I have confidence that we're going to do well by the residents. We've done an existing status study, so we know what traffic is going down there now. We know that sometimes people want to go through the neighborhood instead of turning left onto Kenwood Road out of Starbucks. I am concerned that there will be some additional traffic from this project, but I'm confident that we have the tools that we need in order to address it. And we'll, as we get there, I'm confident we'll do that.
And any other questions, answers, opinions? None. Jimmy, could you call the roll call?
Vice Mayor Javari,
No, since they stuck this, I'm always been against with the apartments. And there are so many apartments here. So for me, no.
Councilman Gath,
Yes.
Councilman Zerwanka,
Yes.
Councilwoman Cole. Yes. Mayor Cirkin.
Yes.
4 yeses, 1 no.
That's all, Mayor.
Thank you. We're going to move back to Councilwoman Cole for Public Works Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. Jamie, could you please read resolution number 2023-15 by title only?
Authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract for the Blue Ash Hunt Road Pier Wall Design Build for the negotiated price of $250,000.
Move to adopt resolution number 2023-15.
Second.
This is a project that we've been planning for some time. It was in the budget, and I think we've gotten a really good bid. Gordon, do you want to add anything? Maybe you want to talk about the timing of the project, perhaps?
So we don't know yet. It's going to be soon, but a lot of it relies on actual getting materials and things lined up. So this is a design build. So the contractor will be designing the project and then constructing it. So to be noted, because of the construction of this project is on Hunt Road, there will be a month closure of Hunt Road. So that there will be a pretty substantial detour during that time period. And this is a landslide failure repair along the creek there, so of Hunt Road. So just wanted that to be made known. And that's yet to be determined. Once we get the schedule from the contractor, we'll let everybody know what that time frame looks like.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments?
Did you say it's a full closure or will we be able to maintain any traffic or?
Unfortunately, it'll be a full closure. We have to relocate utilities and it's a pretty tight area. It's only a 2-lane road and it's on a windy road of part of Hunt Road. So this is just west of the Fox Run Apartments. So anybody familiar with that area, it is pretty tight. And unfortunately, there's no other way around that.
Anything else? Jamie, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Cole,
Yes.
Councilman Zerwanka,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Javari,
Yes.
Councilman Gath,
Yes.
Mayor Sturkin.
Yes.
5 yeses.
Thank you, Jamie. Now would you please read resolution number 2023-16 by title only?
Authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract for the Lushik storm pipe repair for the unit prices as shown on the attached bid summary.
Move to adopt resolution number 2023-16.
Second.
Gordon, would you like to talk about this? I know this has been going on for some time. Part of the project is complete and this is this part going to complete the repairs that we need to make?
Yeah, last year, this 4-foot or 5-foot diameter pipe collapsed. And so we repaired half of it last year. This will be the remainder to its discharge in a creek. So it's pretty significant. It's about 20 feet deep. And unfortunately, this will be under Lushek. So we will be doing, a bit of a closure there. It will not be fully closed, but we will coordinate that with the businesses.
Any other questions?
I just wanted to take time to welcome all the Citizens of Blash Academy members, and hopefully tonight was interesting. It gets better once you get done with us. The rec department, and they're much more fun, and Gordon with his public works is you'll enjoy them, and police and fire are great. But one thing that was said about you, Gordon, at the Citizens of Blash Academy earlier was that your projects always usually start at $1 million, and that is not true. Tonight, they were a little less.
This one for 250 and they almost always calls road closures too, but
Sounds like a bargain.
Yeah.
any other questions or comments? Jamie, would you please call the roll?
Councilwoman Cole.
Yes.
Councilwoman, whoops, not Schneider. She's not here. Councilman Zerwanka,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Javari,
Yes.
Councilman Gath,
Yes.
Mayor Sturkin.
Yes,
5 yeses.
Mayor, that's all I have.
thank you. Okay, we're going to move to miscellaneous business. David.
Someone said before should be celebrating. Yeah, that's pretty significant. The Town Square project and then as well as the Blue. Obviously our staff will be very busy, very excited about that. And the segue into something completely unrelated, I'd like to ask to be excused. I'm not sure whether we'll have the next meeting or not, but I would like to be excused at the March 9th meeting. I have a very important milestone. I need to attend a Bruce Springsteen concert. He's not going to be around much longer, so I hate to take the chance to miss. So that's, if I could, give you a heads up that I'd like to be excused at that meeting. So that's all I have.
Kelly, where are you? Okay, we'll come back to her then. Julie?
Nothing tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Gordon?
Nothing additional.
Brian Cruz?
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind my Parks and Rec soapbox for a second. I just want to take a moment and follow up on a few recent conversations regarding the preservation of green space in Blue Ash and providing a reminder of our commitment through some of the beneficial efforts that we've dedicated ourselves to over the years with council's guidance and support. A recent study by the Ohio Parks and Rec Association was concluded with 63 municipalities in total. Included with those were cities such as Cincinnati, Toledo, Columbus, et cetera. Amongst those were municipalities across the state. Blue Ash finished 5th in terms of overall budget commitment to Parks and Recreation. However, we topped that list in terms of dollars spent towards Parks and Recreation per capita. In fact, the city in second place spends less than half what the city of Blue Ash does per resident in Parks and Recreation. We have 208 acres of publicly accessible parks and recreation space, which is touted as highly impressive for our nationally renowned parks consultants when we conducted the Summit Park Master Plan. We estimate the Summit Park draws nearly 1 million visitors a year. The Recreation Center checks in 300,000 guests. The golf course sees about 45,000 rounds a season. And we booked over 5,000 hours of field use at the Sports Center last year. I can also mention that we employ over 250 part-time employees throughout the entire year. We have 13 baseball fields, 8 playgrounds, 11 acres of natural prairie, 20 plus acres of accessible wetland, 120 picnic tables, 1 historically significant home, 550,000 gallons of pool, 26 community gardens, 1,325 parking spots, 325 pairs of ice skates. We hosted 2,200 fitness classes last year, 18 concerts, and we did it all with 19 very, very dedicated full-time staff. I just wanted to say this to mention that while I believe the preservation of green space is wonderful, and as a parks professional, I truly stand by that. I also personally think Blue Ash and council support stretching back to the 1/3 promise is second to none when it comes to the importance of the outdoors. We need to remember that our city is only 7 square miles, and from the beginning, our geography wasn't exactly national park promising. Perhaps each of the efforts I mentioned may not qualify as preservation, come through, first thought as being natural space. However, I feel that more importantly, we really have answered the call of creating unique opportunities for our community to enjoy the outdoors as well as each other through a very well-rounded philosophy of programs, events, and facilities, taking full advantage of the spaces that we do have in the city of Blue Ash. So that's my soapbox. Second, I also wanted to compliment the young man and his father who came here tonight. This is not an easy place to speak, and he did a great job. That's great parenting. I got a sophomore at home myself, and I doubt he's even cracking a book open, let alone trying to find books for other kids in other places. So that's impressive. And then this is one of the best council sessions we've had in a long time. The vibe in here is so good tonight. So all of you guys need to attend from here on out the rest of the season, because it must be you. Appreciate it. That's it.
Chief Peters.
Nothing, tonight, Mayor.
Chief Knoll. Carrie? Rachel?
Kelly's back.
Oh, Kelly. We skipped you.
Calling me before. I missed it. Did Brian just read his part of the annual report? Well, if nobody said it already, I just want to say welcome and thank you to the COBA class members who attended this evening.
Thank you. I see Paul hiding. Barry. I think I got it. Jamie.
I just want to say, I think Danny Hosbrook would be very pleased to see what's
Yeah.
going to grow on his corner.
Yeah.
And
Somewhere we
he
got
lived here his whole life. I
Yeah.
think
A
it's
Hosbrook
beautiful.
plaque somewhere.
Yeah, there should be,
Yeah.
his name should be somewhere and permanent.
With the warm pocket he got now.
Counselor Pacheco.
Mayor, I just have one comment. I know it was mentioned earlier that you're one of the, I believe, 500 influential
Your 3
executives.
minutes are up.
No, not yet. But I would just like to say you're one of the most 500 influential mayors in Ohio. So just wanted you to be very,
I don't think
very cognizant of that. And there are only 400, so.
Yeah, that was hard to figure out where you're going with that.
When do we review our contract with the solicitor? Yeah, well, yeah.
Hopefully.
That's not up till December, so, Okay. but, and the other thing I wanted to say is, well, no, thank you. Mayor.
Wow, an attorney speechless. All right. Councilman Zerwanka.
I've got a handful of little things here tonight. Gordon, what is the start date on the Cooper Road?
Yeah, Cooper Road. So ODOT will be rebuilding the parapet walls and fencing on the overpass over I-71 on Cooper Road. So Cooper Road will be closed to through traffic. I believe it's March 6th right now, but it will be in March, and it's going to be a 3-month road closure.
The next thing I had, I'll welcome all of our Citizens Academy participants this year. We do this on an annual basis, and what you become for the city you become our ambassadors for this city. We pour our encyclopedia of influence and knowledge into you, and you become our spokespeople for the city. So it is appreciated. So thank you. The next item I have, this is follows off of our last meeting, where the developer came in, kind of blindsided us about a football field. And I'd like to see us have a discussion about that, because for the last 2 weeks since that meeting, I've repeatedly been contacted by residents and other folks and such that do not see that vision at all. And I agree with them. So, discussion with the rest of the
You want to start? I'll take the hit if you don't want to.
No, go ahead. You, and then.
I mean, real quickly, I agree with Councilman Zerwanka. The idea was for a private high school stadium, for a great school. I'm not gonna, but it's not located in Blue Ash, but it is a great school. They want to put one field in. One of the things they talked about was for tournaments, and I don't think you can do tournaments with one field. We've seen like soccer tournaments, they'll have 10, 12, 15, 20 fields going. They talked about a concert venue. Well, we have a concert venue 500 feet away called Summit Park. We also have a small concert venue in the nature park, and we have a moderate sized concert venue being redone in Town Square. I just don't see the need for a fourth one. We've been really flexible with this group on residential. We've got 4 residential developments already. The apartments integrated with the stadium would be number 5, and they've also suggested a hotel, which would be number 6. I also have a little problem with the apartment structure looking like it's 7 stories. We also have the blue that's going to be started soon, and that is going to give us some residential opportunities. So I get back to what this originally was envisioned, and that was a corporate headquarters and a campus. And one of my council mates, and I'll certainly point him out because it made a lot of sense, was concerned the more we commit to that property, the less flexibility we're going to have down the line if we do land that corporate client who wants a significant amount of acreage. So that's, I think, what the previous councils before us had envisioned. And I'm kind of inclined to not think that this is the best use of the land. And I wanted to give the developers some feedback, because I don't want them to keep going down the road if we're not happy. Now, as far as the transparency that was brought up, developer or any private person in this country who owns land can float an idea however they choose to. If they want to pull the curtain off at one time or leak it to the paper the night before, which is what happened in this situation, it's perfectly their rights. It's First Amendment right to propose any kind of development you want to on land that you own. So I don't think that was a transparency problem. That was just a choice. Maybe you look at it as an advertising choice, not as anything nefarious. So pretty much covered it.
But I think a lot of the transparency issue is that, we all got that information at the same time. We don't work on deals behind closed doors and make decisions. That's what we do, is we address, we hear about these and we address them in public. And I think that is the essence of transparency.
And and they did. We saw at the same time, members in the audience that night saw it. That's
The only
perfectly
difference
fine to me.
between this and what has happened in the past is normally there's not a news article leaked ahead of
Right.
time. We've had the same thing happen all the time. And I know it was surprising for everybody. People get upset because they haven't expected it. And as you said earlier in our session tonight with the Citizens Academy, the article isn't always complete or accurate. And so people draw the conclusions that it is, and then, are very upset, understandably, about it.
I just want to add,
Yes.
just put on that notations and transparency. If I remember that we were aware of this developer's gonna bring this kind of project, and David has mentioned to us, all 7 of us. So there is if you talk about transparency, we know that they will somehow, somewhere, sometimes the guy is gonna come and they're gonna present their ideas. So I don't think so. There is a problem of transparency, which some person is keep talking about it, but I think we are very open and we have always communicated with all the constituents. So that's about, just for that transparency, I like to add it.
And I guess one other thing I'd like to add is that, hopefully that big corporate client will come along. But I believe that part of what is important about the quality of life for the residents of Blue Ash, as well as attracting corporate, businesses or corporations to our city, is having a wide variety of amenities. And so in some ways, maybe this project isn't what we were looking for, but the idea of some sort of entertainment component to some of that might really be a welcome addition to what we have already going on at Summit Park in the neighborhoods.
And Jill, I think you bring up a great point. I know internally, we're going to start over the next few months, kind of reassessing economic development activities and what have you. And I think you hit the nail on the head. While this may not be the right project, there still is a greater question that the old model of why corporations came and just did certain things. They're looking for a different activation of space, might be the word. So that might be a nice vision and strategy discussion for this council to have over the next 4 or 5 months is, okay, if not that, what else can we do to help activate that space that would result in helping some more corporate presence there? So.
Well, you were mentioning entertainment. Maybe it's not a football field.
Right.
Maybe it's a performing arts center, something that everybody can use. Okay. So you open up other ideas.
Mr. Mayor, I have no problem with how this played out. I think everybody was in line. I would have chosen to do it differently if it had been my choice, but I have no problem with what the developer did. I do have a problem with the project. As I listened to the presentation, as I heard from the developer afterwards, this feels a lot more to me like the banks than it does like Summit Park. And while the plans say brew pub, he described them as the field was surrounded by bars. And that's not the kind of energy that I think we need at Summit Park. I think there would be impacts on policing and fire if several hundred, a couple hundred nights a year, there were concerts with 5,000 people at them in places surrounded by bars. I think the fact that there's no parking provided for these events is a non-starter. I think it would close the rest of the park. Perhaps we could get the rest of the Moeller fans 7 games a year to park off site. But when you're talking about doing events regularly, I don't know, maybe there is a way, but I don't know of a way to say, oh, well, you're going to the concert, so you need to park across the street so that somebody else can walk their dog in the rest of the park. So I don't think this is right for us. I do like what the city manager said. We need to come up with something different. We have lots of those corporate campus kinds of places. I want them, what is the 3-day-a-week development look like? When all these long-term leases that people have had in these corporate campuses come up and they start looking for other properties, what are those needs going to be? That's what this can be for us. And so that's what I'd encourage us to continue to look at.
Well, since the same subject, I said it before that they have not put their ideas or their plan to the Planning and Zoning Committee. They have not sent it to us to look it over. So I told before that I don't want to discuss about that. completely out because we are spending our time for nothing. Besides saying it, that everybody's talking about that, I just want to add one thing, is that our park is a family park. When there is a football and tailgating and people getting drunk, and everybody knows that what we have done in our past also. So this is the most important thing. This is a family park. We would not like to entertain something like this. Second thing, they also talk about the apartment. We told them, this is the last 300 apartments that we're gonna give it to you, and still trying to produce, as mayor says, 6 stories apartment building. So just doesn't make any sense on this particular project.
Yeah, as you saw, a couple of projects that we finished tonight, they've been going on for a couple of years. So I think some of our uncomfortable was that the article in the paper almost made it seem like we were making a decision last 2 weeks ago. And as you can tell, any project takes years. It goes through the planning commission, there's public hearings. I think the last project, the Blue, I think I counted 10 different public open meetings where people could see, talk to the developers, talk to us, ask questions over a period of 22 months. So that was a problem because, it really put us in a bad position. And I just wanted to, anyway, I'm on my soapbox. I'm getting off it. Anything else?
All I have, Mayor.
Brian?
We live in a great community and there's no better evidence of that than our citizens of Blue Ash Academy. These are folks that could be home doing something else, but they've chosen to spend, I think, 8 nights over the next several months looking at all the departments and learning more about the community that they live in. And they get nothing for it. They got a pizza dinner tonight, I guess. I'm grateful for that sort of energy in our community. It's also represented by Siddharth, who came tonight and spent his night. He probably has homework to do, but by choice or otherwise, he's here. And to be thinking of other people just because that's the kind of thing that we have here. We don't do things just for ourselves and what's best for us as individuals, but we look at what's going on for the whole community. And that community extends beyond even the borders of Blue Ash. So I want to thank you for that. The last thing I want to just put on everybody's radar, there was the Sycamore Community Schools, along with several other districts, are experiencing a lot of problems with vaping in schools and with their students. When these products came out, they were marketed as smoking cessation products. And when they came out, they had about 1/5 of the nicotine in them that a cigarette does. Now they have as much or more nicotine in them as a cigarette does. They come in flavors. They're cherry and bubble gum and cotton candy. The products that are disposable and most likely to be used by underage persons are some of the highest nicotine content. And in a young brain, you can become dependent on nicotine very quickly. They were telling us stories about kids who are so dependent on nicotine that they wake up in the middle of the night, take a hit off their vape pen and go back to sleep. And for you to be able to take a stimulant and then go back to sleep, it tells you how bad the situation is. The governor recently vetoed legislation from the state house saying that the legislation would have taken away from cities the right to regulate flavored tobacco products, flavored vape pens. I don't know if that's the way that we need to go down it, but it's something that he encouraged the state to look at, and I think we should consider it. The other thing that I think we need to take a look at is enforcement. The attitude at some vape shops is, well, if I don't sell to the 13-year-old, the next guy is. And so they're really, at least in some places, and I don't know, the shops in our town may be very, very, very rigid in following the rules and regulations. But that's certainly, if they're not, we need to be enforcing those. So just want to make everybody aware of that. If you have young people, if you smell fruit, it's probably because somebody's been vaping. And there's some really good resources the county has, and the schools, especially Sycamore schools, have some great resources for us. So thank you very much.
Councilman Cole, Councilwoman Cole.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to reiterate thanks and appreciation for the Citizens Academy participants. I'm really looking forward to getting to know each of you a little bit better over the next couple of months, and just appreciate your dedication to this wonderful city of Blue Ash. And thanks, I'm guessing it was Kelly and Julie that put together the program. Is really, really nicely done. And Rachel, thank you so much. And Sherry. Speaking of Sherry, it is
And
Sherry's 25th work anniversary today on National Pizza Day, and she's here with us. And finally, I'd like to thank Brian for the update on our green space and parks and recreation. I think it's really important information. You know, we've heard this a lot lately, and it's great that you've taken the time to really explain the situation so people have a better appreciation of all of the wonderful resources that we have in Blue Ash. And I'm sure you guys have plans to use that in communications so that the residents and everyone has a better understanding of, if they don't see the parks and the green space, where to go look to find them. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Javari.
Thank you, Mayor. I have three points to talk about. Is one thing is that I'm welcoming all the COBA 101 educational, and I see a lot of excitement. I saw that was very nicely. They came and they talked about it, and they are interesting in our Blue Ash and our Blue Ash administrations. So it was very nice of them to come and talk about it and ask the questions. So that's the number one. Welcome very much. Second thing I want to talk about the young man back there, Siddharth. If I pronounce right, Siddharth? Yeah, I'm telling you that I have lots of friends and I have lots of books. I will make sure that you get more than 100 books that I can provide you with lots of it. And then I'll get you some contribution for your project. And the third thing that I have is this: I want to ask questions to about the roundabout at Peppermill Lane. When we gonna do and when we gonna finish? Now people don't want it. Now they're asking what we are doing now.
Yeah.
Well, we did have a material delay, so that's been a little bit of a hang up. So they're going to start back here in March once the weather starts getting a little bit more cooperative, and then they're going to keep working till it's completed.
Okay, thank you. That was nice update. Thank you, Mayor. That's all I have.
Good. Two quick things. Again, welcome COBA participants, and thank you for being a part of the city, and hopefully you become interested and involved. And secondly, I want to make sure that we all know that we have way more park acreage in the city of Blue Ash than the city of Montgomery. I think it's like 50 or 60% more park acreage. So just got to get that digging whenever I can. At this point, we're going to move into executive session for property acquisition to consider the purchase of property for public purposes or for the sale of property at competitive bidding. If premature disclosure of information would give an unfair competitive or bargaining advantage to a person whose personal private interest is adverse to the general public interest. So I will ask for a motion to adjourn to executive session.
So move.
So move.
Second, Jamie, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Cole,
Yes.
Councilman Zerwanka,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Javari,
Yes.
Councilman Gath,
Yes.
Mayor Cirkin.
Yes.